just like you have a credit score,
Mm-hmm.
everyone has an insurance score. And all of these things are involved in this insurance score. So the better your insurance score, the better your rate is going to be. It's that 20-year-old mentality. Oh, well, I've never been in an accident. Oh, well, I've never had somebody injured at, my house. Oh, I've never. Doesn't mean you won't. If you don't, they can garnish your wages. They can put a lien on your house. So now your home is in danger because your auto wasn't covered right.
Oh, wow. All right.
All right.
All right. Welcome to Jerome in Real Estate. I'm Jerome, your local realtor here in the Fountain and Colorado Springs area. Today, I've brought on Miriam Wilson, who is a personal property insurance specialist, and she's going to guide us through some of the principles of why we would want personal property insurance, what it does, the benefit, and all that good stuff. So without further ado, Miriam, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself for the folk?
Hi, I'm Miriam Wilson. Like you said, I guess you can call me an insurance specialist. I've been doing this for 10 years now. I'm a broker. So what that means is I have several companies that I shop around for my clients.
Okay. So when you say several, like how many are we talking? I know the literal meaning of several, but
right.
How many are we talking about here?
I think I have 14 standard and 4 non-standard companies.
Okay, got you. So before we get into the nitty gritty of all of that, why don't you tell us a little bit more about yourself? Like, interests, hobbies. The people want to get to know you.
Well, I don't know if you can tell, but I'm originally from Memphis, Tennessee. You can kind of hear it.
All right.
I try and hide my accent just a little. Interest, hobbies. Well, I'm a single mother of one little boy, so he's my main hobby, I guess you can say.
Okay.
We do a lot of things with him, playing outside, going to the park, pools, all of that. But when I get my adult time, I go catch up with friends, go to movies, go hiking, go to the gym, just things like that, just to keep me moving and not.
Yeah. So I see you mentioned, two of the big Colorado activities. You're out there, you're at the gym, and you're hiking a lot. Is there any particular place you like hiking around here in the Springs?
Really, I don't know if I can I will never do the incline here. My knees just, they're I'm young, but I'm old.
It's funny you should say that, because we had a reservation, because you have to like reserve parking there now, if you didn't know. So we had a reservation to go do it. Yeah. But it was the same day that the temperatures spiked. So instead of that, so we canceled the reservation, and we were like, all right, we're not going to do the incline. What we did, we went out to Divide, and in the very early morning, and we did a 6-mile hike instead. It was much cooler though, so it wasn't in the 90s or nothing. Out there in Divide, I think that time frame on Saturday, it was like mid 80s at the most. And we did a nice little 6-mile. I got out there and saw some ponds and some nice little scenery. Yeah.
That's cool. So can't do the heat, huh?
I mean, for the very first big hike for our family, we were like, no, we're not gonna.
See, I don't know nothing about heat. Tennessee humidity can get to like 110.
Yeah.
Like you go outside, they're sweating. Like, what's happening?
Listen, I understand the heat now. Don't forget, I'm Jamaican, right?
That's true. That's fair.
Yeah, I understand it, but when you're getting out and you're doing something like really active, that's gonna stress your body. For me, the first one's not gonna be in high heat. So we're gonna work into it. We'll get there.
You're just working into it. I understand.
Yeah. So, aside from that, how did you make the transition from what you were doing before? And I mean, I guess, what were you doing before, if there ever was anything besides insurance? And then how'd you make the transition to get into insurance? What happened?
So what I was doing before, I actually worked for a gun range back in Memphis, Tennessee. I was the admin, but I ended up wanting to I wanted out of Tennessee. I did. So I ended up moving to Columbia, Missouri with one of my good friends for a bit and transferred all of my insurance to Missouri.
Yeah.
Which is getting everything situated. The agent that I moved to came in, of course, introduced himself. We chatted. And before I left, he asked if I was looking for a job, which absolutely, I just moved there. Let me go get you a resume.
So that's the kind of impression you leave on people, huh?
I don't know. He didn't have a position open until like six months later.
Oh, okay.
But went in for an interview, second interview, and pretty much they gave me an offer and helped me get all of my licenses because you have to be licensed to sell insurance.
Yeah.
And then that was it. Never looked back.
Okay. And then, I mean, why did you not look back? Why did it hook you so much? Why is it important to you, you know?
Because at the end of the day, it's about helping people.
Yep.
And that's my biggest thing is helping people, one, understand what insurance is, because a lot of people go, oh, I need it. Here, I'll buy that. But they have no idea what they just bought.
Yeah, that's how I am.
Well, that was how I was. I walked into that office and she's like, do you know anything about your insurance? I'm like, no, I know I pay for it. So she went down line by line what it all meant. And that was never offered to me. It's like, that's what I want to do, is help people understand it.
Right. And then, I mean, obviously we all know that we need to get it, you know, because in some cases it's just flat out required. In some cases, you know, you just want to have that safety net, even though we don't understand it. You just want to feel safe, right? But in your words, I wonder if you could kind of break down why it's important for people to have insurance on their personal property. What can you tell us about that?
There's two main things for me that are important is insuring your personal property, because you're going to spend all this money on this item, whatever it is, whether it be a house or a motor home or whatever. If something were to happen to that property, if you don't have the right coverage, then you're coming out of pocket to fill in that gap.
Yeah.
So if you don't have the right insurance, it can bite you in the butt later, you know, essentially.
Yeah. And I mean, I guess they, you know, normally you see on the news, they'll put out either some sort of article, or you'll see it on TV or whatever, where it's like, however much percent of the US population is only, you know, one paycheck away from, you know, disaster or whatnot. And that's the way I kind of feel about insurance as well. Like, that thing happens, you know, and then you feel like it's an extremely important piece of your personal property. So you feel like you've got to dig out of your stash, your savings, whatever it is. And now you're left pretty much with nothing because you didn't have insurance to back you up in the first place. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, the other thing to really think about too is your liability on these things too, because I mean, you see it every day. Everyone is so happy. You get a huge liability claim, which they are rare, but if you have one, like let's say your auto policy, you have state minimums. Well, you cause a big enough accident, and let's say 3 of the 4 people in the vehicle are injured, and you're talking about $1 million lawsuit at this point, and you've got a max of 50,000. Do you have that remaining gap? Well, if you don't, they can garnish your wages. They can put a lien on your house. They can make you take whatever you've built up into that house. Not escrow.
Okay. Yeah. The equity.
Equity. I was like, that escrow starts with the E. The equity in your house to fill in that gap. So now your home is in danger because your auto wasn't covered right.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That's actually a really good perspective to put on it. Once you really start digging deep into it and looking at all the places that they could attack you from. Yeah.
Right. They can get your whatever they can get their hands on, they will. Especially if they get the strong arm or anyone like that, you know. Sorry. Whatever his slogan is.
We've all seen that commercial.
Right. Exactly. I got $1.2 million. I'm like, great.
All right. So, okay, let's let's take a step back real quick though,
Okay.
and maybe break it down on a little bit on a lighter level as far as trying to get people to understand what we're talking about, right? So when we say personal property, those items, I'm not certain if even I have a good understanding of what it is that you're capable of insuring. So can you give us like some of the examples of what you mean when you're talking about personal property insurance?
Sure. Well, you've got anything from your house to your vehicles to motorcycles, camping trailers, utility trailers, motorhome, ATVs, dune buggies, boats, jet skis,
So what
snowmobiles.
is maybe the more proper question is then what's left out? Like what can't you insure? Right?
Anything that you use for your business. If it's registered in your business name and you're collecting
Mhm.
money for whatever that is, I can't do
Yeah.
it because I just had the
Okay.
personal side of things.
Okay. Got you. And that makes sense. So along with that, I'm sure you've dealt with quite a few clients through the years. You said it's been like a decade since you've been in, right?
It's
Doing
been
insurance.
going on 10 years now, a little
Right.
over.
Okay. So what are the biggest misconceptions that you've seen about your line of work and, property insurance, personal property insurance in general?
6 words. It will never happen to me.
Yep.
People have
Yep.
that it's that 20-year-old mentality. Oh, well, I've never been in an accident. Oh, well, I've never had somebody injured at, my house. Oh, I've never. Doesn't mean you won't.
Yeah.
Insurance isn't about if you file a claim, it's when. You think you're going to go your entire life and never have to file a claim? Nothing bad is ever going to happen to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, so look, not that I have that mentality. Not that I have that mentality, but seriously though, is are there any types of insurance or companies or little rewards programs out there? Because I know why people don't do it, right? The thing is this, like you pay insurance monthly forever, right? And if you end up not if you end up being lucky for quite a large span of time, then you kind of feel as if, all right, well, how come I don't get any of that money back? Because I just spent, you know what I mean? Like, shouldn't they be giving me something back if I've been, let's take, auto, if I'm not getting in accidents, how come I'm still paying forever, and I don't get, rebates back, I don't get anything back? Like, what is the deal with that?
There are programs that some companies have, or they have programs where the longer you are accident free, they reduce your deductible. So if you do
Okay.
have a file a claim, you might have a very minimal one instead of this $1,000
Right.
deductible. Now you've got $100. So in essence, that is kind of a loyalty program. Or if
Okay, yeah.
you,
Maybe that's the term I'm looking for, maybe loyalty program or something, or just the fact that I'm safer or something, give me
well, you get
some.
better
Yeah.
rates. I mean, does that help?
Yeah. Yeah. I suppose so. I suppose. Right.
And each person is
Um,
different because I've had
yeah.
people like, well, my neighbor pays such and such amount. I'm like, okay, is your property the same as your neighbor? Is your credit score the same as your neighbor? Is your insurance score the same as your neighbor? Is your, like, a lot of people think just because my neighbor has this rate, I should get it. It's not how it
Okay.
works.
Yeah.
Just like you have a credit score,
Hmm.
everyone has an insurance score. And all of these things are involved in this insurance score. So the better your insurance score, the better your rate is going to be. Same with credit. Better your credit score is, the better your interest rate is going to be. It's the same
Gotcha.
concept.
Gotcha. So let's talk about some of the things, inside of our homes, that we believe are valuable, right? Things like, jewelry and TVs and stuff like that. Um, do you believe that it's worth it, or it's cost effective to actually put, insurance on stuff like that?
100%. Here's why. When it comes to things like jewelry, fine arts, high-end musical instruments, again, as long as you're not getting paid to go play music, firearms, there's a limit on your homeowner's policy, typically, for those type of items. So let's say jewelry, you have a cap of $2,500, but this ring costs 10 grand. So if, knock on wood, somebody breaks into your house and steals your jewelry, you're out a lot of money because you're only going to get $2,500. That's your max. So now you've got this gap where you just lost a crap ton of money for this really nice ring. And I'm sure your wife's pretty upset and wants you to replace it. So now you got to pay another amount of money to make her happy to get that ring back. So and if it's just, a ring that you spend a couple grand on, yeah, maybe not. But it's really not going to cost you a ton unless you've got like 50 grand in these items to cost you like.
And what would you say? I mean, what would you say like the average person that is getting, personal property insurance on those things inside the home, right? What would you say average around here in like the Springs or Colorado? What would you say average they're paying?
Oh God, it all depends.
So it's all completely all over the place.
There's no way to pull. I could pull a rate out from the air, but that's not going to be accurate. Trying to think the last client I helped her.
So probably the best thing to do then is, actually to sit down, do a consult, or, how do you work that?
So just trying to figure out, okay, these are your limitations for A, B, and C, which it'll list out, because anytime there's limitations on a policy, an insurance company has to let you know what that is. Mm-hmm. So if they go down the list and they see, oh, well, I've got more covers than that. I'm like, okay, well, now we need to add a rider to your homeowner's policy and schedule out that specific property.
Yeah.
Because on your homeowner's policy, your personal property is just all encompassing. It's not scheduled. It's not listed out. It's just anything that you have. But if you schedule that item out, there's a dollar value that we have to put in there. And that's going to determine what the price is going to be.
Yeah. So, I mean, you did just mention something that I'm sure people are wondering, right? You mentioned, company. Okay. So we all know different types of insurance companies and we see them on TV. What is the difference between picking up the phone, calling that company and say, hey, I need, this and that type of insurance, in contrast to picking up the phone and calling you, right? What is the big difference? Why wouldn't I just call the big company that I see on TV?
Because anytime you call a big company, it's a 1-800 whatever. And you get a different person each and every single time, whether it be a quote, whether it be a change, whether it be a claim. So now you're having to explain yourself 1,000 different times if you have to continually call back. And what if you call at a time they're closed? Then what? So
okay.
Also, in a claim situation, let's say there's an issue. Well, you've got no one to advocate for you. No one to go, hey, let me call your claims adjuster and see what's going on. So to me, that's what makes it worth it, because you have a go-to person. That's how I've gotten some of my clients is they called their 1-800 number, whatever it was, and was on hold for about an hour just to change his credit card information for his auto draft.
Yep. And I know that feeling. It happens a lot nowadays. It's one of those things where the big businesses are finding ways to cut costs, and customer service is one of those things that gets cut, unfortunately. So that's what you're kind of alluding to, right? Is you would be better customer service. Exactly.
Or like nowadays, a lot of companies are doing more automated things. Is it just a payment? Press 1.
Yeah.
Is it roadside assistance? Press 2. And then you're still continually doing this automated thing. And you got to listen to all of the prompts to get to your one. So that's time as well that you're losing. Instead of
what about What about cost difference or rate difference or anything? Is there any difference between those two?
There is a little. I've not gone into each of the companies to quote it directly to see what that difference is. Sometimes there is, sometimes there's not. But
Okay.
again, I
I'm
haven't done
assuming
any of
that's
that research.
pretty individualized as well, yeah.
Yeah. So it just depends
Okay.
on the company but they understand using a broker is beneficial to them because it's free marketing. Like they don't have to pay me to market. I just go, oh, this is the company that's right for you. And they're
Yeah.
grateful, you know?
Okay. All right. So how much coverage would you say that, your average person needs? Like, you rattled off quite a bit of things that you can insure, and some of those might be really good depending on the person to insure, but how much coverage are we talking that the average person should think about getting?
And that's always the hardest question too, because it's all going to depend on your assets. So if you have high valued cars, you have a $1.2 million house, you have a boat, you have this, well, your next step is what's called an umbrella policy. So it's not more insuring your personal property, it's giving you more liability coverage. So think of an umbrella as everything that's underneath. So it helps cover your auto, your home, your boat, blah, blah, blah. Because let's say, again, you cause I'll give you an example. I had a client whose son went out joyriding with his friends. They weren't intoxicated, but they had been drinking. Well, he wrapped the vehicle around a tree. Right. And a couple of the boys were injured. So, of course, his liability kicked in of $250,000 per person, $500,000 for the entire accident.
Yeah.
But the entire claim cost $650,000. So after his auto policy of $500,000 was maxed, his umbrella kicked in for the remaining $150,000. If he didn't have that umbrella policy, he would have been out of pocket than $150K. So it's more figuring out what assets you have, what can they take, what pilots make a ton of money. So if they find out you're a pilot, well, you better just hand over those paychecks. So, so it just depends individual wise what all you have.
So are you saying that, I mean, at a certain point when you have so many assets, it's going to just be better to go ahead and get an umbrella coverage over all of it instead of trying to, individually
increase your auto, your this, your that.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha. All right. And that's where actually sitting down and chatting through the entire thing, having a consult would probably come in handy.
Yes.
Right? Okay. Gotcha. Well, if you'd like to give, just a quick summary or, just wrap up what you believe or just the biggest ideas that people should take away from this chat. What are you thinking? What do you got for us?
Stop doing state minimums. That's the minimum the state requires you to have. And let's be real, does the state look out for our best interest? No, not particularly, in my opinion, but that's where it comes into having an agent that you can either talk over the phone or talk face to face and have that conversation of what do I actually need? Yeah.
But I mean, there's got to be some cases where the minimum would be appropriate, no? Or you think that's probably not never?
No, because again, that whole saying of you can't squeeze blood out of a turnip, that is false. They can garnish your wages. You don't have it now. Well, you can be paying on it the next 10 years.
Yeah.
So if you want to run that risk, and typically it's not a huge jump. Yeah, people want to save money, especially now. I mean, don't want to tell you what I spent on my gas tank yesterday.
Yeah.
But again, it's better to have it, not need it, and need it, not have it.
Okay. Makes sense. Anything else, or was that?
No, I think that's it.
That's the big wrap up.
Scare people. It's like people always like, well, if do you scare people into getting proper insurance? Like, the thing is, it is scary if you don't have the right coverage.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's not a scare tactic. This is reality.
Okay.
You know?
All right. So I appreciate that. Appreciate the wrap up. I got 3 more questions though.
Okay.
They're real fast. You're supposed to answer them right at the top of your
Got it. All right.
whatever's at the top of your head, right? You ready?
Yep.
All right. So coffee or tea?
Coffee.
Liquor or mixed drinks?
Mixed drinks.
Muffins or cupcakes?
Muffins.
Ah, I thought I had you there for a second. I thought I had I thought I stumped you. All right. Yeah. So we definitely don't agree on the whole liquor or mixed drink thing. That's not
Well, if you would have
But-
said liquor or beer, it would have been beer.
all right. I got you. All right. Well, I definitely appreciate you coming on, enlightening everybody on property insurance.
Yeah.
Why don't you go ahead and let everybody know how they can contact you if they want to find out a little bit more or dig a little deeper into their own situation?
Yeah. So my contact is 719-367-8198. Or if you just want to email, it's mwilson@buy, and that's BUY, like you're purchasing something, coloradoinsurance.com.
All right, awesome. I'm going to go ahead and put all the contact details for you down in the video description. So
Okay.
anybody watching, if you're interested and you definitely want to reach out to Miriam, check the video description. And as always, if you like the information that we're putting out here, if you like the tidbits, pieces of info that comes out on a weekly basis from Jerome and Real Estate YouTube channel, please give this video a like and subscribe, because there's going to be more. Hopefully I might even be able to bring Miriam back on, talk about a little something different. All right. Thanks a lot.